what's up, family? It's your boy, Minister Jamin Harris. I'm here to welcome you to the Cross Perspective podcast, where faith meets real and relevant conversations. Hey, listen, there's no filters, there's no fluff. We're just having honest conversation, honest dialogue by the Spirit. Whether a young believer that is listening or watching, whether you're a growing leader, whether you're just someone who is simply trying to find your way in your faith, look, come join us on this podcast and let's gain a new perspective. But I'm not alone. I want to welcome you to my co-host, the one and the only Minister Naomi Johnson in the house.
Hello. What's going on?
I don't know what's going on with you.
Oh, this is a new venture for us, new platform. We're opening up some doors that we ain't never opened before, so this is new.
It is very new. Look,
How do you feel about that?
Two of the most introverted people running this podcast. So we about to have a good time.
I don't feel like I'm introverted, but if you want to say
you is.
Sometimes.
You is.
Go ahead.
I'm a chameleon, right? I'm introverted, but if I need to be an extrovert, I'll make it work. I'll make it work. But listen, enough with all the gimmicks. Look, we just want to welcome you guys to the podcast. Some things you can expect from the podcast. We're going to just have typical conversation, typical dialogue. Every now and then, we're going to bring in the guests to help navigate the conversation. Look, we want to keep it real. We want to hear from you guys. So if you all get a chance to, just put in the comments, send us a chat. Let us know some topics or things that you're dealing with that you want us to dive deeper into, and we'll be happy to navigate those and get those on our schedule. But why the podcast, right? Why are we doing this Cross Perspectives podcast? Where did it come from? How did it come about? I will say for me, just being a young adult, being in new territory, as a newly licensed minister, and then just navigating, those seasonal changes. I'm a musician at a church. I help with the young adult, or I did help with the young adult ministry. And now just fully stepping into that, that call to ministry and real God is leading me. There's some things that we deal with. There's some, conversations that need to be had. There's some things that we don't really talk about. And we just felt that we need a platform to be able to have those real conversations. And it's not about, trying to decipher or battle, different areas or topics or concerns that that you deal with in the flesh, but just general conversation, like how can we navigate these things and look at them from a different perspective, having a male versus a female perspective, having a minister versus just a random church going person. How can we navigate some of the same topics and some of the same issues? And so that's what we're hoping to accomplish with this podcast, to just open your minds, open your hearts to some different perspectives, different ways of thinking. We're not trying to be biased, and we don't want you guys to be biased, but just open your mind.
That was beautiful. That was.
Thank you. I try. I got away with words.
Okay.
But let the people hear from you.
What do you want to hear?
What do you want to get out of this podcast? What are you hoping?
I'm here to argue.
Look, hey, we can argue. We can argue. That's what you want to do. Look, we can roll the sleeves up. We can have a good time.
I got some stuff to say, and I listen and watch a lot of TikTok, and there's some pretty hefty debates out there that we probably need to talk about. So I'm here for that.
Hey, well, one of the, let's let the people understand, who are you?
Well, who are you?
Who are you? Where you come from? Tell us a little about you. They know I'm a minister.
You don't have
to
dive all in my business, but we can start with you since you are the extrovert.
Only at times.
Okay.
Only at times.
Tell the people who you are then.
So I'm Minister Jamin, like I said. I'm one half of the team naming, right? And I'm 32 years old, born and raised from Pittsburgh.
Where did naming come from?
Look.
You want
So
to tell the story?
you can tell it. Why don't you tell it? You can tell it when you introduce yourself. So, I'm a family man, got 2 kids of my own, 6 and 8. And, I'm a musician. I'm a tech guru. I work at a tech school. I'm a head basketball coach. I'm a minister. So I do a little bit of everything. But, at the end of the day, I'm a child of God. And, I'm just trying to, be myself, be authentically me. But what about you? Tell the people a little about yourself.
What about me? Well, I'm not a young adult. It's complicated. I'm in that age where I'm too old to be a young adult and I'm too young to be a geriatric. I'm in my 40s. But anyways, my name is Naomi Johnson. We were both ministered or licensed together as ministers, however you say that, in March. So we have experienced a lot of newness between March and now. This time last year, we were writing a little reflection on why we wanted to do all of this and all the things. So to be sitting here 12 months later, we have come a long way, but we've learned a lot and we've experienced a lot as new ministers. And we are almost done with school, or at least I am. I'll be done May 2026.
Woo, woo.
And you are already done.
Thank you, Jesus.
And we both have went to seminary, mine in person, his online, which I'm pretty sure that was rather interesting.
It was interesting, but we made it work. We made it work. We got it done.
I prefer in-person classes just because
Yeah, that ain't me.
I like to talk and meet people.
That's the extrovert coming out.
If that's what you want to call it. And you can learn different perspectives in the classroom.
You right.
What do you learn online?
Learn a lot. People can give perspectives online through the discussions.
The discussion boards.
Yeah, through the discussion
Reading
boards.
is fundamental.
All
okay.
in them discussions.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a little bit more animated in person, so I'll lobby for that. But moving on.
Speaking of animation, so share how we became naming.
Okay. Well, before you interrupted me, I have a family as well. I have a set of twins that are about to be 16. I have a son who's a senior in high school. I have a husband and a
dog.
And a dog named Bella. I like to sing and
Sing something.
Nope. And I'm in school and I work. And we're also trying to step into this minister water and see how that goes. So we always are together. If anybody knows us, we are always together. And my first engagement at a church, the pastor was not there.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Let's not.
Let's talk about that for a second.
I am still on my internship.
All right, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll come back. We'll come back there.
But it wasn't really communicated who we were. And we just got our names fused together as Naaman. And that's how we were introduced to the church. And it just kind of stuck.
Kind of stuck. Team Naaman.
Team Naaman. So
there you go. There you have it. Well, speaking of crossroads and crossing names and intersecting names, let's dive into it. So today we want to talk a little bit about the topic of crossroads. So where faith really meets real life. So, if we look at it from the perspective of cross, as more of, your faith identity, and we look at crossed from a aspect of intersection, right? We want to just dive into a little bit about, some moments and, situations where, maybe you felt that you had your own moment where, you had to really face, reality, and it made you really make a decision between, stepping out on faith versus, maybe navigating something that you might not have necessarily placed God in, or that God might not have ordained you in. So, for me, just being transparent, like I'm really at the crossroads right now. So, as a young minister, trying to just really, step into the role where, allowing, God to be able to use me and for me to develop and fully live out, the call that God has for my life. For me, it's, stepping into new territories and making that decision to, do I continue to step out on faith and do some of the things that God is calling me to do, or do I remain comfortable where I'm at right now, um, because it's easier, because I'm used to it, and there's times where I feel like if I don't make those steps, if I don't step out on faith, um, I'm not putting other people in, tough situations. So for me, it's about, meeting that point where, if God is calling you, God is speaking you to do something, then don't worry about, the potential negatives, or, what's going to affect you with those decisions, and, put other people's responsibilities as your own. So for me, that's something that I'm navigating with. uh, but maybe Naomi, you can share from a different perspective of what that looks like for you from a cross versus crossed perspective.
Well, after you just gave that whole sermon,
Yeah,
turn anything into a
speaking to
sermon.
myself.
What was the question?
So we're looking at cross, right? The crossroads
The
where faith
cross.
meets your life. So you got the cross, which is
Faith
faith.
meets life.
You
Okay.
got crossed, which
Crossed.
is intersection.
Mm-hmm.
You know, navigating the difference between those, or maybe navigating your own crossroads, where you really got to make the decision: is it about stepping out in faith versus you know just keeping with the status quo?
Mm. Yeah. So, after we got our license, there are a lot of different avenues that we could take. Most of the traditional choices, everybody wants to be a pastor, everybody wants to be ordained. Um, I don't honestly believe that's my testimony. I think that I have the ability to kind of just do a bunch of different things, but not be put in a box. So, what does
Mm.
that look like? That looks very unconventional for me. Um, I would like to do ministry through art, writing, through visual, musically. I don't want to be in four walls, but you keep trying to make me be in four
Oh,
walls. I
nah,
just don't feel like that is where I am supposed to be.
that's true.
I know.
You right. You right.
And I've
Hey,
said that from the beginning.
feelings could change. From
I
the
have
very
not changed.
beginning, you said you ain't want to preach, and look at you now.
I
You
said
got
that
a license to preach.
I said
You got what,
I
eight
don't mind
engagements
preaching.
now? 9, 10?
I don't mind preaching. I just don't want to be ordained.
Yo, she can preach, guys. She can
As you
preach.
can, but
She can preach.
I don't want to be ordained.
That's fine.
But I feel like there's a stigma for those who choose not to go down that road.
I mean, there is, but I mean, let's talk about it. Why
Okay.
why is there that stigma? Why do people think that it's all or nothing? That if you're going to be a minister, then you got to be a preacher. If you're going to get your license to preach, then you got to be ordained.
Or if you're going to
If you're going to
seminary,
seminary, then you got to end up, behind someone's pulpit, or, being a professor.
That's just
Like
not,
why does it seem like that's the only way ministers can really be ministers or navigate, that territory?
because, even during our training, the trainer was not sure how to train me because I am outside of the box. So, you know, um, I just feel like we can't limit ourselves to just the church because I'm going to say it, the church is dying. And if the physical space is not as well attended, how and what skill sets are any pastors or ministers going to be able to develop, grow, and share with people who don't want to go to church? Because I feel like millennials on down, church is just not a thing.
I mean, because if you think about it, if we're going to be honest, right? Nowadays, there's more issues and drama in the church
Mm.
than there really is outside of church. So if I am, let's say I am a pastor, or if I am a evangelist, and I'm trying to to grow the church body, how am I going to be able to do that if I'm not willing to go out and meet these people, if I'm not willing to go out in the community and do things that are a little different, or unconventional? Because it's like at some point you got to realize, look, you know some people, they just want to come to a place that they feel welcome, they feel like they belong, they feel like they could be a part. And they don't some people don't want to be preached at, and some people don't want to be looked down upon, and
Hmm.
some people, they want to come truly as they are, and we say, come as you are, but we don't create opportunities for them to come as they are, and we don't create or do things where they feel like it's an environment where they're able to do that. And I think that's a big part of it now, is that if if I can be out in the real world and experience, or have a better experience, or feel more connected to who I consider family or friends, or you know relationships or partnerships, and that's more secured and more important and more true and honest to me than what I can experience with the fellowship of believers, then you know if I'm that person, why would I come to the church?
Do you feel like hot topic, but do you feel like people in the church are as authentic as they need to be in order to reach people?
I don't think they are.
That's the
And
part.
that leads to a bigger issue. It's like, are people really looking at church as God's house, or are they looking at it as, their place of business?
Well, church is ran like a business, but being that we both have some sort of business degree, I understand that part. However, I think that it takes certain people to understand how to do things the right way when it comes to making connections in the community and just not necessarily putting the business as front and center, but putting your ministry front and center. And what I'm noticing is that there is a lot of branding and marketing and business related decisions, but you know,
Is
are
God in
we
that
in
though?
the are we in the community? Are we, or are we just grabbing a granola bar and taking a quick pic and being like, this is what we did? Like, do you know the people across the street?
But I think that's where the authenticity comes in. And that's where the genuine connections come in.
Yeah.
Because, people are so quick for, to be viral, or to, get ahead of the trends. But are you connecting those trends, or are those relatable to your audience and your people, your community?
Do you know who's in your audience at church? Do you know them personally? Is a question.
I mean, that's a true question. And those are things that, I feel like, you know, your church leadership should know. And I think if there's a disconnect there, then, that could be a problem. And it's one thing if you're a mega church and you got hundreds of thousands of people and you got just as many online. But if they know a percentage wise, if they know more of their congregation than a small church of 100 and 200 from a percentage standpoint, then that's a problem. If you're constantly looking to do community based uh, service acts or doing things out in the community, but it's in a community that's different than where your church is planted, that's a problem. If you're planning to do things in the community that doesn't align with what the people in the community needs or could benefit from, then that's a problem. Because are you really trying to meet the needs of your community, or are you trying to meet a quota of where you can get the most responses, the most people, or the most feedback, or the most looks, the most likes, the viral things?
Yes. And that's why I said being placed in the box of only being able to preach or only being able to do one aspect of ministry is not going to be sustainable going forward just because there are too many other complicated issues going on right now, especially with politics, the community, people, mental health. And I just feel like trying to figure out how to step outside of the box and do something different to reach people is the only way, because what we've been doing doesn't work anymore.
So I got a question then. So how do we, or how do leaders navigate that fine line between doing things that's going to connect and reach and meet those people while also staying true to who they are and not becoming of the world?
I think it goes back to learning who is in your church, to learning what they need, where they're at in life, getting to know them personally. In one of our classes, we read this book called Breathing Space by Heidi Newman. And she talked about her experience as a pastor, and she was there um, 17 years or something. But she just talked about how it's important to make connections with the community and understand who your audience is first before you can make decisions on what type of ministry or which direction the church needs to go. Because if this is your flock, you need to understand them all in order to make decisions on how to move forward. So it was a pretty good book.
It
And
sounds
if
like
you
a
were in a
good.
class, you would have been able to read it, but you weren't.
We got shots. So look, I got it. So right, cross perspectives. So I'm gonna take a different angle on this community thing, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Too often we see churches, especially multiple churches in the same area, competing against each other.
Okay.
And a lot of times the competition is within the churches itself. The choir versus the choir, the preacher versus the preacher, the ministers, or, the ministries versus the ministers and the ministries. But what if churches started to have that same kind of, competitive mindset, but it's benefiting the community where, oh, I'm doing this out in the community. And then maybe another church does something else out in the community. Because when you can change the outlet or the stream of that competition, ultimately there's a way that can benefit the community.
Well, you remember the churches were the steeple of the community back in the day, and that's not the case anymore. So,
Yeah.
because it's not the foundation, I mean, what?
But do you think healthy competition and
I don't think there should be any
collaborative?
competition because are we going to be competing up in heaven?
I mean, I don't know. Some of the people on the mics, if they go up to heaven trying to sing solos,
Really?
I'm
Okay.
like, hey God, can I check in on some people? I need to.
Listen, I'm not saying a word, but what I can say is it's not a competition.
It's not. So maybe not looking at it as a competition, but more so not being afraid to do the same things that other churches are doing in the community.
Wasn't
So,
there a time when people collaborated?
and that's another thing, but people aren't collaborating now.
That's not the thing. That's not the it thing. It's
But
just
why
not.
isn't? Why aren't churches collaborating?
Because it's just not a thing.
Why can't it be? Could it be though?
No.
You don't think so?
Some. But if we're going back to what it is, which is business, people will look at like, oh, you stealing.
If I'm next to a church down the street and we both planning the summer health ministry fair,
Well,
why
I'm
can't
pretty
we close
sure
off
the
the block?
churches down the street don't talk to the other church down the street. They don't.
Why you think? Why you think they don't?
I feel
Or
like
why do you know they don't?
because everybody is looking to be the next mega church, so everybody is trying to, and I don't want to say everybody,
Well,
but
let's keep it 100. You in a small town with 5 6 churches in the same area. You ain't gonna be able. None of the churches can be a mega church, numbers wise.
that's not how they feel.
So we going back to being authentic and understanding our community, understanding our people. But then that's a problem because if we're stepping into that role, looking for those types of goals,
Oh, if you were to go to a new church, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for a place where I can grow
Grow
spiritually.
how?
Spiritually, I want to be able to grow spiritually in the world, in the world, spiritually in the word, and I want to be able to grow in my ministry and develop so that where God is going to place me and what God has for me, I have been able to be developed and trained and have experience in doing that. I want to be in a place where I feel comfortable. I want to be in a place where I feel like, I can have a spiritual father that I can talk to and come to, where I can have, saints and, partners and ministry partners for me, where I can, consider accountability partners, ones that I can talk to and grow with. Iron sharpens iron, a place where there is ministry happening, where we are actually meeting the needs of the people, where we are looking at putting others first. Those are the things that, are more important to me, you know, and, bonus if we got a choir that
You're
sounds good
lying
and a
if you
band
want to
that
sit here
sounds
and
good.
say that the music is not important to you and you're a musician.
But I'm in a place where I'm not going to be as involved in ministry from a music standpoint anymore.
Mm, why?
I just feel like for me, that's a gift that I'm always going to have, but I feel like that's not the season where I need to be operating as far as my develop is concerned. And I think for me, if I'm focusing on walking, in my calling and developing towards my call, you know, for me, if there's an opportunity for me to be able to, use my gift in drumming, then I'm going to do that. But that's not going to be my focal point.
It's beautiful.
And I think that's a shift that I'm dealing with. Um, but I mean, same for you,
See?
Miss Singer.
No, let's go back to what are you dealing with right now?
I mean, if we're gonna be transparent, so
Yeah,
like
you said you was transparent. Like
I've been
what?
in a place where I've I've been a musician pretty
Mm-hmm.
much full time for a church since I left for prior to leaving for college. So at least 12 years now,
Jesus.
14 years now, and that's been something I've always been good at. And I found a place where that could be my way of serving, and you know, I think I've gotten real comfortable with that because I think I'm pretty gifted in that area. And I had opportunities to be able to serve and do ministry in other aspects, such as the young adult ministry. And but it seemed as though ever since I got my license to preach and actually accepted my call into ministry and really opening and being available to allowing God to use me, i I felt less of a, I won't say passion, but I didn't have that same drive where I felt that I was doing what all that God wanted me to do. And with that, just how I felt when I would drum, like the passion, that, satisfaction of, serving and through, playing and worshiping through the instrument, I wasn't as satisfied
Mm.
with that. And I noticed that as I became more comfortable and more confident in my walk towards ministry, that other things that involved ministry related duties or tasks, I felt that satisfaction and that passion in those things. And so for me, that kind of gave me some more confirmation that, hey, you know, there is a path that's for me in ministry. And that's where I need to be developing, and that's where I need to be focusing on. And if I could do that while also drumming, great. But just drumming is not enough for me to feel that I'm doing all that I'm supposed to be
Did
doing.
you take a spiritual gift test?
I've taken
And
plenty.
what are your spiritual gifts?
So the top gift I was ranked was shepherding
Mm,
slash pastoring.
mm,
Um,
that was not
and
mine.
and I've been sitting on that for a little while. I come to terms with that.
You
Um,
better go be ordained then, sir.
uh, the gift of administration was high on that list. Um, a gift of, I think it was acts or service. That was also on that list. I can't remember all the order,
Because
but
you got
those were
so many.
because well, it was funny because when the first few times I've done it, pastor and shepherding was always at the top of that list.
Mm,
And then the second through the fourth highest kind of always changed.
mm.
And they changed in order, but not necessarily in um, what was in those top five for me. And I think even there was one point where I tried to do the spiritual gifts test and kind of put different answers just
And it
to
still
see what
came
would
out.
come out, and it still ended up. I guess I I fibbed on the wrong questions because
Mm.
they was for the wrong categories.
I feel like everybody needs to take a spiritual gift test.
What was yours? What was your results?
I don't care how many times I take that test. It doesn't matter. Administration is always going to be at the top. Always.
Yeah.
Um, that's strategic planning, organizing, all the things behind the scenes.
You think that comes into question or comes into play why you feel as though for you ministry is outside of the box?
Mm-hmm.
So where do you see? Let's talk a little bit about you. Let's talk a little about your journey.
Okay.
What are you? Where are you? Where's your head at? Because like you said, we both came through, the licensing process, at the same time, and we've kind of, come out with, you know, the same passion, but, just different angles as far as, what that looked like for us. Um, but so let's talk a little bit about you. So, you had mentioned earlier that, it was a little difficult or challenging to be able to navigate going through that process where it felt as though, trying to develop and learn what ministry looks like from a perspective of what's not being shared.
Yes. So worship and arts has always been something that I've been attached to even since I was little, whether it be dancing, um, drama, um, singing, all of those things, creative writing, all of those things were something that I have leaned in towards. So, arts, that's like my thing. What I did not know or understand was that I was being called. I just didn't know to what. Because, like you said, there's a strong push, there's a strong desire. And my desire did not look like everybody else's. My desire was not to have a church. My desire was not to stand in a robe. Um, as you see, I've got tattoos. I am me. And that's who I always want to be. And I just didn't see myself in that particular position. So I struggled with who I was, why I was created, and all of the things just because I didn't have that cookie cutter walk. So, um, through discernment, I decided to go to seminary. I didn't know. Well, I was attracted to a creative writing and storytelling degree, um, but I had no idea why I was going. And so when people would ask me like, "Oh, what do you plan on doing? It's like after seminary." I don't know. And I've been there for 3 or 4 years. And I'm in a class now where we all agreed, like when we first started, we didn't know how this was going to look. But I feel like step by step, each situation or door that I've walked through, I've learned a little bit about myself and what type of ministry I've been called to. And I took a workshop about storytelling, and they were talking about how storytelling is actually a ministry. Did you know Jesus did storytelling?
Mm.
Of course, through the parables. And when I heard that, I was like, I finally felt like I was validated because somebody was actually articulating what I was feeling that I wasn't able to articulate. So, the art of storytelling is something that I feel like I'm very passionate about, whether it be through writing songs, writing a play, writing a story, uh,
Writing a sermon.
writing a sermon. I use a different lens, and I didn't know if that was going to be accepted, but as I've grown through all of my um, situations and lessons in life, I have learned that everything that I've dealt with, all of that has been brought to the forefront so that I can use all this stuff to tell a story because we all have a story. And I believe I am put here on this earth to let people know you need to tell your story. And I want to do it in a beautiful and a creative way so that people can share their experiences and help somebody else.
That's
Wasn't
what's
that
up.
beautiful?
That was beautiful. That was
Thank you.
nice. That was nice.
Thank
That was
you.
nice. So let's tell the folk what seminary you at?
I'm at Pittsburgh Theological Seminary,
PTS. Shout
PTS,
out to PTS.
PTS.
I
And
graduated from Liberty University School of Divinity.
ooh, and you
Yeah.
have your degree, and we're walking.
And we're
Yeah.
walking towards looking at some doctorate programs. So hey, PTS, Holla at your boy.
Oh my gosh.
See, we
You
can,
got to go through the process of the application process. Like fill out the process and
you
do the
know, the
work.
government shut out these scholarships.
You
These
don't know what
scholarships.
God led scholarships they got. See?
God got me. God
Yeah.
got me.
But um
That's good.
I am very open, and I think this platform right here is another part of that testimony.
For sure. For sure. Listen. The Cross Perspectives podcast is just an extension of
Us running our mouth
running our mouth.
all the
But
time.
look, we got something exciting happening. We're not gonna tell everything that's planning, but just stay tuned. We got some on the horizon that's coming. That's gonna be really powerful.
And we could turn
Uh,
it up next time and get into some
we'll,
heated
we'll definitely
conversation
get
because
into
I'm
some
ready.
things. But look, while we're on the conversation of artistry, uh, we just want to introduce a new segment that we're going to be doing. It's called the Kingdom Collab
Ooh,
section.
Kingdom
This is an opportunity
collabs.
where we'll be able to shout out, some artists or some products or some brands, or events or things that are happening,
Yeah.
that we know of around the community, whether it's online. So, hey, if you know of anything, hit us up. Let us know in the comments, and we'll be excited to,
We would love to wear. You like my shirt? You can't read it,
yeah,
but
look
it
at that
says
shirt. What did that say?
"But
But
God."
God.
So, if you
I'm gonna preach
have
that.
any apparel that you would like to share and get out on a platform, hit us up.
Yeah, let us know. We take drinks. We
What?
take we take food. Hey,
We
if you
don't
want,
take drinks or food.
why not? Look, I'll
I
keep it.
don't.
I'll keep it 100. If you making some fruit drinks or some smoothies, hey, I'll try to give you a shout out. But if it's nasty, look, we gonna let you know. We gonna keep it 100. I don't do nuts though, so don't come in here with no platter of foods. Like, can you talk about my mama's cooking? No, we ain't doing that. But if you got a little catering business or something,
Not a little
uh,
catering.
everything little around here. That little catering, that little reflection,
Mm.
that little sermon. That no, we gonna do what we do. But hey, listen, for today, there is an amazing event happening on December 5th. That is a Friday, 7 o'clock at Corone Baptist Church. It's an event called The Vibe.
This is in Pittsburgh.
It is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Homewood in the house. Great things do happen in Homewood. Listen, if you could come down to Corone Baptist Church, 7 p.m. Friday, December 5th, there's an event happening called The Vibe. There are three amazing artists
Vibe.
that are going to come and show out. It's just an opportunity for us to be able to just have a time for authentic worship. No preaching, no gimmicks, no
You love that word
Ben's,
gimmicks.
I love that word gimmicks, but no additional stuff. We just come in for a time of worship, genuine worship. You're
We
gonna,
even have a kids choir. Well, they're a teenage
we got a
choir.
teenage choir coming out.
Yes, I'm on my servant behavior, off of my Lord and my Savior. Laid it all down, laid it for grace and all good things they say never lasts.
And oh, how you walk with me.
Look, we got a special guest, Naomi, in the house. He's going to take the mic.
I'm just doing the
Officially,
intro.
Naomi J. Naomi is her name on YouTube. Check her out. We got your boy Cam Terrell. I believe he goes by Cam T or Cameron Terrell on Instagram, social media. Check him out. He'll be in the house. We got your boy David Stevens, amazing artist, keyboardist. He'll be in the house to
I'm
worship.
excited.
So I'm excited. It's going to be a time.
It's gonna be lit.
A
I
time
just
will
hope we
be
have
had.
people.
So hey, look, come on out, 7 o'clock. Invite your friends, invite your family, invite those you
If you're
don't
in
even know.
Pittsburgh.
If you're in Pittsburgh, if you're not in Pittsburgh, make the drive. Look, if you come and you're not from the city, we got something special for you.
What do we have? Because why are you lying?
We got a week to find out. But look, I said it right here. We got something special for you. If you're outside of the city and you show up to the vibe, look, as many or as few as you are, if you show up, we got something for you. Just let us know. Let us know in the comments. Let us know when you show up. We got something for you. But look, listen, we're the hosts. So you know it's going to be a good time. We're not going to talk as much.
No,
so
there's a lot of talking.
We're
Get
just going to have
somebody
a good
else to
time
do it.
of worshiping with the Lord, with one another. So come on out. It's going to be a vibe. We got the setting perfectly set for that. So come on out. Let's have a good time. 7.
set.
We'll probably go to a couple hours. But hey, as the worship flows, the worship flows.
All right.
So check out these clips of some of our artists coming out. And it's going to be a time.
This is fun. This was fun.
Listen, this was fun. I had a time. We talked about some things. We covered some topics. Look, let us know in the comments how y'all feel. How do y'all feel about, are y'all a minister or a leader in the church? Are y'all, just a congregant? If y'all dealing with something, congregant, CONGR.
No.
Look, I got a bachelor's at Penn State. I got a master's at Duquesne and a master's of divinity at Liberty. Look, if I don't talk English and I make up words, just know that we are really educated on here. But we having a good time. We having a good time. We had a great time.
And we
look forward to
look forward.
From y'all. Look.
Drop some topics.
Drop some topics in the comments. Hit the like and subscribe button. Please share the podcast with your friends and family.
We need support.
Hey, if we go viral, help it.
We're not going viral
for the right reasons.
Can we get some support, please?
Hey, support naming, team naming, hashtag naming. Look, if you want to talk about the podcast, we give it to you right now. Hashtag naming, NAMIN.
You spelled that.
Hashtag naming.
All right.
NAMIN. Look, family, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And team naming out. Peace.